Hello, today we're in Holyoke, Massachusetts. We're going to talk about the chemical company that used to exist here from 1880 onwards. Most of the buildings are still intact. You notice the railroad tracks are right in front of the whole way, the Broadway. The third level canal is behind us. And this business was so vast and its needs were so great that it carried in and out so many products. Lots of workers would work for this company. It was started up by James Newton and the other Newton brothers helped them make it up, Daniel Newton especially. And we're going to talk about the various buildings right now and then the features around it and then what happened to them. All right, you can see one in front of this is the start of many buildings they made. This section right here is where they made a single line of buildings only with nothing in the back. But from about the late 1890s onwards, they built up the back. You can still see some of the buildings in the back there attached to this main front building. Now, there's a gap there. Probably something happened. It was taken down. But there was another building there. And behind it was another one. So something definitely happened. And then as we go along, you see it starts to finally be a two-floor structure instead of one-floor structure, which is very unusual for a paper mill. But this was not an ordinary paper mill. They made heavy-duty paper like Bristol board, cardboard, box boards, so forth. And then as you keep going down, there's a small one right after that two-story one. It's only one to 1.5 stories high. And then it goes back to another 1 story, 2 story, 1 story, 2 story, to 2 story. And then it ends right at the footbridge by Jackson Street. And now, that was the enormous complex that made up the chemical paper company. And what did they make? They made so much that it's almost impossible to list everything. And Bristol envelope papers, bond papers, linen finished papers, coated wax boards, press boards, board specialties, silk buff wrappings, manila tag paper, Viking cover, Boston manifold. They made boxes galore, whether colored or folded. They made puppetries, which held papers for you to pull out your writing papers with. They made big boxes, little boxes. They made manila folders of all kind, index cards of all kind, all with the goal of making lots of filled up needs. This is probably the biggest cardboard company 120 years ago in the whole United States. It was enormous. In and out they would go with products. Now, where we are is Berkshire Street, and I'm going to show you some of the features that are down here. So, over here, the company was so large, it was the only one of the many mills around Holyoke that needed their own reservoir of water. All the other mills could use the built-up reservoirs that Holyoke had for them, but this company here had reservoirs own that was about 120 feet long and 80 feet wide. It's gone now, filled in by earth, but it needed that because the paper, whether it's cardboard or Bristol board or writing paper, needs to wash itself off at the end because the sulfur that's put in during the process will just make it weaker and turn it yellow. And you don't want that to happen. All right, what else do you see around this region? To our outer edge here is the third level canal, and that's the source of power for this chemical canal, chemical paper company. It used the third level canal, which is the lowest of the 3 levels, but the drop between this canal and the river is about 28 feet, which is the highest drop of any. The first level canal to the second is 20 feet, the second to the third is 12 feet, but this one to the river is 28 feet. So when it does drop, the drop is incredible, and you get lots of power coming inwards. Right? What else do you see? You see some mills across the way owned by other companies. Since this company was started after the 1880s, they didn't need to build up their own worker housing. You see Jackson Street continues as a bridge over there, which can be used by workers or by trucks. All right, and in the distance you see a big gap between this and the next building. That was James Newton's brother's building, where Moses Newton built up a paper company called the Newton Paper Company. It's almost entirely gone, but the chemical paper company itself was so well made by Daniel Newton, the builder of the family, that it's still around even 144 years later. All right, so one more thing, there's a power station right there. You can tell by, there's a strainer in front of it in the water, getting rid of the debris. There's water going in underneath that implement. That implement can raise and lower if it needs to. If it wants to keep the water out, it can do that, so it can fix its turbines. If it wants to bring water in to power the station, it can do that. And then also, as you sweep towards the back here, you're going to find the Connecticut River is towards the back. All right. So this company is by far the largest company there is on the third level canal, and it defined what the third level canal was going to be for a long time. All right. And you can still hear lots of things in the distance. You can see in the back of every one of these mills that they have more mills in the back. It's that enormous. You might see a front half, but there's about 1.5 more length of a mill behind, especially those 6 mills over there. Behind here, there were at one time 3 linear mills in a row, but they built up mills in the back of those too. Now this part is new. You also see Interstate 391 in the distance. That really didn't hurt this building at all. You see the main entrance road, which is Berkshire Street now. All right, so a lot of changes, a lot of build-ups, a lot of history in this area. Nowadays, we'll go sweeping one more time through here. It's now since 1915. This part is Hazen Paper Company. And they make glossy covers. They also make holographic covers. For instance, they make the Super Bowl program cover. Very well-run company. It's been in Holyoke for now 109 years. Run by a Holyoker still, and it's been the same family for 109 years too. All right. Other businesses that you see, some of what you might see has businesses that really don't care to have names given to it, because they're just a small branch of another big company around Holyoke. But right beyond, you see the Muse Framing and Art Company, the tiny building, but it gave it towards the front. Then the white building beyond that is the University Products Company, which makes items that university students would make use a lot, such as binders and notebooks and lab books. Right? Then there's other businesses in here, and that's why you see a lot of trucks around this area, and you still see a lot of employees going in and out. So a lot happens here. It's always been 1 or 2 stories, so these are not reduced mills. They're just very old mills that were made this way. The reason why is because cardboard production is very heavy. The beaters to make it are very heavy because you're making a heavy product. The power equipment is very heavy because you got a 28-foot drop. And so everything had to be smaller and squat, not compared to the 2 or 3 floors on most of the paper mills around Holyoke. Okay, so you see a lot here, and I hope you come in here at least once. It's found off of Berkshire Street, off of Main Street. So what we're going to do now is finish off with a panoramic for you. All right, thank you for coming here.